Hi, I wanted to take a couple minutes to talk to you about creating and sending an offer letter in Virtual Edge High Volume. And there are a couple things that need to happen before that offer can be sent. First, you want to make sure that the online application is complete. The data collection must show that the online application is complete, and the interview process must be closed. So we'll navigate to our candidate. You can see that we're in high volume because of the pink border to the page. And when you navigate to their main profile page, you'll see over here on the right the colorful printer icon that shows that the online application is complete. We can go into data collection to make sure it's recorded that way. And sure enough it is. Next to application completed, it says yes. Next we want to make sure that the interview process is closed. So we'll navigate to interview. And as you can see, this person is interviewed for several different positions. You do want to make sure that you're working on your rec, and if you need to make sure, you can just click on this link and it'll bring up the requisition in question. Make sure that it's yours, and then you can go on back to the interview step just by clicking back on this tab. Alright, so we want to close this interview out. But if we hit close here, it's going to assume that we're going to say no, we don't want to continue. We do need to give feedback still for the interview in progress. So we'll go to View Interview. And if you scroll up, you'll see all the different interviews that they've had. And we want to give feedback. So we'll click on the feedback. Hiring recommendation is continue. And we'll hit Save. Okay, so you'll see that it gives you an option to close the interview, and that means that you're not planning on doing any other interviews. You're completely done with the process, and we are, so we'll go ahead and click here. And as an overall recommendation, we want to say continue. You don't need to worry about the disposition code or the rejection letter because those are only for do not continues, and we'll hit save. Okay, so the interview process is closed. And if we go back to the interview tab, sure enough, it says cleared interview. So that's great. So next what we want to do is we want to go ahead and make an offer. So we'll go back to the green arrow, we'll select offers. And again, really important that you're working on the correct requisition. It is possible to send an offer letter to someone someone on someone else's requisition or a requisition that's located in a different area. It's fixable, but it gets a little confusing. So just make sure that that is indeed the rec number that you're working with, and we'll hit offer. Okay, so this lets us choose from a drop-down menu which offer letter we want to use. And this is a campus rep position, so we're choosing Campus Representative Offer Letter USA and hitting Next. Okay, here's where we want to put in some basic information. You'll notice that the hiring manager automatically populates based on who's assigned as the hiring manager on the requisition. You can't edit it here, you can in the next screen if this is wrong. We'll select a start date by clicking on the calendar. You could also select it through here, but the calendar is pretty easy. We'll say that they're going to start on November 12th. The return date is when you want the offer letter back. So whenever you send them the offer letter, you want them to sign it and return it by this date. And we'll say we want it back by this Thursday. So I'll click on the 6th. The fax number is your fax number. The phone number is your phone number. Rate 9 is for a campus rep, that's their only rate. So we'll put in $8.10 as an hourly rate for them. And hit next. Now this next screen is going to show you the actual text of the letter. So it's going to have the address of the person up at the top, and then the actual offer letter is here. And you can go through it and make sure that everything looks right. The rate is correct, the manager is correct. If this is not correct, here's where you can edit. Okay. And if the hiring manager is not supposed to be that person on the requisition, then you can either change it yourself by editing the rec, or you can contact VE Helpdesk at review.com and they can give you a hand with that. Okay, so we'll scroll down just to make sure that this all looks good, and it does. You can attach documents down at the bottom. You certainly don't need to. You want to make sure that the offer letter is saved as final. And this is a very important checkbox. remote offer feedback notification is what tells the system that you actually not only want to create this offer letter, but you want to send it out to the candidate. So we'll make sure that that's checked and we'll hit save. And you'll see this is important, so you'll see offer issued successfully. If you want to make sure that it's gone out, you can go to the green arrow and go to tracking, and it'll say that this remote offer feedback notification has been created. If it just says offer created, it means that you didn't check that box down at the bottom, so the offer letter got created but it didn't go anywhere. If that happens, it's not the end of the world. All you need to do is go to the green arrow, go to offers, and from here, and we want to make sure it's the right one again, we would just hit send offer under action. But it's a lot easier if you just click that checkbox on the screen before. If for whatever reason they are having trouble logging in, they really can't do it, you can send them a PDF, so you can view this as a PDF, save it to your computer, send it through regular email, and have them print it out, sign it, and return it. Once they've returned it and you have a signed offer letter in hand, and I really wouldn't do this before you have that signed offer letter in hand, you can go ahead and hit accept for the offer letter. So we'll do that. Under normal circumstances, they get the email, they have to sign in to the link just with the same login information they've been using all along, and then they will have the opportunity to accept or decline. And that's usually the easiest way. We don't actually need the signed offer letter back. Having them accept it in Virtual Edge is just fine. Okay, so next steps, now that the offer letter has been sent, next steps is once they've accepted the offer, is to send them new hire paperwork. And if you don't have that stored locally, you can find that on the intranet under corporate and then human resources and then new hire paperwork. You can also, at this point, send the background check response agent, and the way we would do that is we would go into the green arrow again, go to response agent, select which response agent we want, and in this case it is the background check authorization, only send after offer accepted. And that's an important step. You really don't want to send this link before the offer's been accepted, because if you do, they're going to try to log into it and they're not going to be able to. Their account is going to be locked until that offer is accepted, and that's on purpose. We don't want them changing anything while that's in process. So please do wait until after the offer has been accepted and then go ahead and send this link. You can see it's already written. You really shouldn't need to rewrite it, but if you want to, you can edit this text there. Scroll down, make sure everything looks good, and then you can attach a file again here, and then you can go ahead and submit it, and it'll send. It's asked, are you sure you want to send this response agent? We'll say sure. And you get that green alert again saying that it worked. Okay, now once the background check authorization has been completed, then you can you can send them the link for the EI-9. Before the background check authorization is complete, it's not going to work. You're going to click on this, and this is what it's going to say. It's going to say essential data is missing for this candidate. That's because the I-9 relies on the information it gets from the background check authorization. So do make sure that the background check authorization is done. Then go ahead and click on the EI-9 button. Even when the authorization is done, the first time you click on this, it's probably going to say something like reaching out to the other system for an update. It may take a few seconds. Try back in 30 seconds. It'll probably work. If it doesn't work after 30 minutes or so, then you can contact VE Help Desk, and we can see what we can do from there. Okay, so and once that does work, you'll click on it and it'll be very obvious. You just send them section 1, the candidate completes section 1, you complete section 2, and once that's done, you can run the background check itself, and you would do that by going into the green arrow and going to ADP background screening, and once they've completed the authorization, over here on the right side are going to be 2 blue buttons, one for pre-hire and one for post-hire. It doesn't really matter which one you do, they're both going to run the same background check. And you click on that button and follow all the steps through. It's fairly intuitive. Just don't add anything to the package or subtract anything from the package. Usually it's going to come out to about $28 for a background check. If they've ever lived in New York or some other states, it's going to add various fees on top of that. But as long as you're not adding or subtracting anything from the package that you're choosing from, you're doing fine. So once you've submitted the background check, you've sent them section 1, you can go ahead and board them. And the way you would do that is go back to the offers section. And I'm not going to do it in this case because obviously it's not a real person, but you would go ahead and click on board. And it asks you for basic information, the start date, the reason, probably going to be new hire vacancy, you can always put that. Concurrent position, you can say no, that really just means, are they already employed, do they already have a full-time position in addition to this one. The pay group for teachers, campus reps, and proctors, basically anything in high volume, is always going to be TPR Education's -TCH. You don't need to worry about any of the other ones. And then onboarding notification, the checkbox there will send an email to the hiring manager and the recruiter. So that's optional, but I recommend doing it just so you have an email trail as well. And that about covers it. So we've talked about just about everything, all the steps that you need to go through, the next steps, and definitely reach out to vehelpdesk@review.com if you have any other questions.